Apple has finally launched its iPhone 17, and right after the launch, its stock value dropped by nearly 3.2%. Introducing iPhone 17 Pro. Now on the surface, that might sound like a small number, but we're talking about a company whose total value is $3.4 trillion, equal to around 33.5 quadrillion rupees. So in this sense, with just a 3.2% fall, Apple lost $111 billion in one blow. Right now, Apple seems to be moving toward its downfall, and the biggest reason behind it is just one: greed. Once upon a time, Apple was known for its innovation, technology, and premium products, but today, the company is no longer controlled by engineers and designers. It is controlled by businessmen whose only goal is profit-making. That's why, for the past 6 to 7 years, instead of true innovation, Apple has just been selling the same iPhone design with minor upgrades again and again. Meanwhile, competitors like Samsung, Xiaomi, and Vivo are working on concept phones, unique designs, and innovation. They are actively developing AI, while Apple refuses to take risks. It only cares about profits. This is exactly the kind of arrogance that once caused big mobile giants like Nokia, HTC, and BlackBerry to disappear from the market, and now Apple seems to be walking the same path. From 2020 to 2023, it was the most valuable company in the world, but in 2025 it has dropped to the third spot after Nvidia and Microsoft. The reasons: overly expensive phones, lack of innovation, repeated lawsuits, and above all, greed. Even in Apple's home market, the US, its share has fallen to 56%. If the situation is this bad at home, imagine how it must be across the world. In South America, the Middle East, the US, and Asia, people who once used to buy iPhones are now switching to Samsung, Xiaomi, Huawei, and Google Pixel. Why? Because these companies are constantly innovating, making foldable phones, trying new ideas, and most importantly, selling them at a much lower price than Apple. Apple, on the other hand, has promised AI upgrades for 2 years, but hasn't delivered anything significant yet. Its so-called AI assistant, Siri, can barely handle tasks and often gives incorrect information. For the last 6 to 7 years, innovation has meant nothing more than moving the camera around, slightly upgrading processors, and repackaging old ideas that Samsung had already introduced 8 to 10 years ago. For example, dual camera video features, slimmer phones, and minor tweaks, which Apple markets as if they are groundbreaking. It feels like Apple's slogan "Think Different" has turned into "Do Not Think." Even investors are now fed up, telling Apple, "You're not capable of this anymore." Apple listens to investors demanding no risks and more returns instead of customers asking for innovation. That's why instead of upgrading its main product, it wasted resources making a $3,000 Apple VR headset that hardly anyone needs.
As a result, people are no longer upgrading their iPhones. Why spend $800 for features that barely change? Smarter users simply repair and upgrade their old phones. The only remaining buyers are those who see iPhones as a status symbol. They buy it just to show off, even if it means taking loans or selling assets. Then there are loyal Apple users who remain because of the ecosystem. Their Mac, Apple Watch, and AirPods work seamlessly together, making it convenient. For them, leaving Apple isn't easy. But the point is, a phone company's goal isn't just to sell products, it's to give people a reason to upgrade. Something that makes customers feel, yes, this time it's truly new and I need it. Many of you may not know, but in the 1990s Apple was close to bankruptcy. It had only 90 days left to clear its debts. Back then, Apple was making boring computers that looked like hospital machines. Then came Steve Jobs, whose innovations, the iPhone, iPad, AirPods, saved Apple. The first iPhone, with no physical buttons, turned every other phone into a calculator. The iPad revolutionized tablets. AirPods became a global trend. Until 2011, every time Apple launched something new, the whole market followed. But after Steve Jobs' death in 2011, Tim Cook, a supply chain expert, took over. Instead of innovation, he focused only on incremental improvements and maximizing profits. He expanded Apple's global supply chain, but neglected product quality. Apple started charging developers a 30% profit cut on App Store apps, and its so-called Apple Intelligence, launched last year, won't actually work properly until 2026, yet people have already paid for it. Meanwhile, companies like Microsoft, NVIDIA, and OpenAI embraced AI and became the world's most valuable firms even without making phones. Apple, despite being a tech company, is stuck slimming down phones, adding new colors, and calling it innovation. Google openly mocks Apple, saying, "If you think your phone hasn't changed, maybe it's time to change your phone." Competitors have already released phones that fold 3 times, but Apple keeps changing wallpapers and themes and selling them as new.
Apple has been playing too defensively, waiting for others to take risks first. That strategy works for hardware, but AI is different. AI is a learning system. It only improves with widespread usage. Google's Gemini is free, learning from millions of users, getting better every day. Apple, in contrast, doesn't even let all its iPhones use its AI-only flagship models in the next 2 years. Clearly, Apple is falling behind in the AI race. And we all know AI will soon be an essential part of life. If Apple misses this, no one will need its devices. Today, Apple is surviving only on its brand legacy, not true innovation. It's squeezing profit out of its biggest cash cow, the iPhone. But the law of the world is simple: those who don't evolve with time get left behind. And unless Apple finds another Steve Jobs-like leader, it may face the same fate as Nokia. Even Apple's stock price is now showing that simply moving cameras around won't cut it anymore. So what do you think about this? Share your valuable opinion in the comments section. Thanks for watching this video.